close is going to be groin, so more of a hip emphasis if you're doing this one. And then feet out will be more spine, so more of a back emphasis. Now, if you're doing feet out, feel free to support the knees with blocks, okay? If you're doing this one, then I don't really recommend supporting the knees because you will interfere with the stretching. So if you're going to do this one, I recommend that you're comfortable with your knees up, okay? And then you don't need to use your hands or arms or back or anything. Just let gravity pull you forward and down. And you can try them both out, see which one feels best for you. Feel free to support the upper body with blocks, under your forehead or forearms. Either variation is fine with that. Okay, so we'll come up and transition to the dragonfly. And so legs are wide. You might want to face the long side of the mat. And a few pointers here. You don't need to flex or point your feet in any particular direction. But if you want to, you're welcome to do that. There's nothing wrong with that. But you might just be working extra for no real added benefit. It really is based on what you feel. So if it feels really good, flex your feet or something like that, or point them in a particular direction, then by all means do so. Again, you can support the upper body with blocks or a bolster or something like that. You can also sit on something. And in this posture, it's important that you make sure gravity is pulling you forward and down and you aren't being pulled backward. Okay, so if you feel like if you were to fall asleep, you would end up falling back, then I want you to bend your knees, sit on something, whatever you need to do to get yourself falling forward. And the stretch is going to be in here primarily, and then also a little bit in the back, okay? Okay, so let's come up and then take a brief rest on the back. We call that a rebound. And we just, before counter stretching, we relax and feel the sensations in the body. Okay, let's give ourselves a little counter stretch. And then we'll take the legs back onto the mat, move our hips to the right edge, move our legs to the left, and bring our arms overhead and move them to the left as well. We want to feel the stretch here. Okay, we're going to switch sides. You might take a moment part way, midway, neutral, and just feel the effects of the stretch on the right side. But when you're ready, make your way over to the other side. I think everyone present today knows that if there's a lot of pain or if you feel like you might be hurting yourself, then you need to either change what you're doing or if you're not sure how to change it in a way that will take care of the problem, then you need to speak up and let me know. Again, the stretches here, if you're not feeling it, again, something is off, something is not how we need it to be. So just reminding everybody in case you forgot, but I think everyone knows that. Let's come back to neutral. And we'll relax. Okay, let's give those legs a little squeeze. And then we'll hinge up, so hands under the hips, palms down, legs up, lift the head and neck, exhale, lower. Inhale, pop the legs up, and exhale, pop up to seated. Okay, so let's do a little counter stretching in tabletop. So we call this the bear pose. And it's a yang counter stretch. So it's not about holding still. It's not about limiting your movements. It's really about variety and freedom of movement and repeating movements in a variety of ways. And then when you're done with that, the down dog, same idea here. This isn't like the down dog we would do in a flow class where we might hold it still for several breaths. Here we're trying to be more animated. Okay, so we'll do a couple of back bends next. Let's come forward onto the belly and prop yourself up on your elbows. That is the Sphinx. Okay, and if you'd like to go deeper, you can straighten your arms. You want to feel it in your back. So if you are not feeling it with the elbows bent, then simply straighten your arms. As usual, the variations are the same. Head up, drop down, drop back, shoulders depressed, shoulders relaxed, legs together or apart. And again, there's no try and let go of the concept of advanced, beginner, right, wrong, any of those types of concepts. When I give you those options, just try them in your body. See how they feel, get the feedback from your body, and let that guide you. And just keep in mind that the most comfortable position is not always the one that will bring you the most benefit. And so again, I need to just remind everybody it's exercise, and exercise rarely is the most comfortable thing that we can do in the moment, right? If you're exercising, you might be sweating, you might be feeling a burning in your muscles, you might be breathing very deeply and heavily. Now, for whatever reason, my understanding is some people like that feeling, but from my understanding, not everybody does. It's, they've studied it and they've shown that, yes, some people like that adrenaline rush. They like that feeling of stressing their body. It gives them a kind of a natural high, but that's definitely not everybody. So we have to understand that even though I may not get that high, it doesn't mean exercise is bad for me. I used to wonder, well, if exercise is so good for me, why doesn't everyone enjoy the feeling of it? Why doesn't it always feel good as we're doing it? Wouldn't natural selection select for people who naturally do something that's good for them? And the answer is that in our natural setting, there's just no choice. You aren't given a choice. It doesn't matter if you like it or not. In a natural setting, you would have to exercise to survive. So nature didn't need to build it into our personal system, our nervous system, because humans didn't have a choice. Survival meant moving. It meant walking, it meant running, it meant squatting, it meant climbing, it meant carrying. It meant being quite physically active for millions of years. For the vast majority of the time we've been on the planet. So in the last, about 10,000 years, we've had a select few people who were royalty who could opt out of that because they had so much wealth. And generally speaking, they were not the healthiest or happiest people. I know that might sound counterintuitive, but what you'd find is the peasant would probably be healthier than the king. The king might suffer from heart disease, all kinds of other problems that a peasant likely wouldn't suffer from. And then in more modern times, we move into the industrial era where more and more of us live like kings and queens, and more of us are having health issues that used to be considered diseases of wealth or affluence. But in today, even if you are below the poverty line in the United States, you may still suffer from these diseases. And they've become very common. So we just, oh, you got this, okay. Oh, you're having, you have high blood pressure. Oh yeah, me too. Oh, you're pre-diabetic. Oh yeah, me too. Like all of these things where we just think it's normal, but it's not normal. It's new. And so when we remember that, again, doing things that may not in the moment feel good, like exercise, stressing our body. These are things that we can elect. We have to elect to do them because no one's going to force us to do them. We have to just be educated enough to choose. Okay, let's come down. And very simply, roll onto your back. I forgot to mention it, but you probably want a block or something to sit on. So if you don't already have that, grab it now. Now the alternative to using the block would be you could repeat what you just did instead. Okay, so you could repeat Sphinx or Seal. But hopefully you'll have a yoga block at home. So what we'd like to do is lift the hips, and then we'll take the block and place it. So we lift our hips pretty much as high as we can, and then we place the block so the hips do not fall. So hopefully you could see, my hips barely come down onto the block. And then we can take those legs straight, we can bring our arms up overhead, and we're looking for one or two sensations. So one is a little bit of compression in the back. The other is a stretch in the front of the body. What we don't want to feel is unsafe, and we don't want to feel nothing. Okay, so again, this is one of the big differences between yin and restorative. In restorative, if you feel like you're floating on a cloud, you don't feel much sensation anywhere in your body. That's a good thing. In yin yoga, it usually means you're not at your edge. And so again, this is the difference between these two styles. In both, you might be holding a posture for a very, very long time. That's beautiful. You might be very relaxed. Again, different people respond to different things in different ways. Some people really like being still and quiet. They welcome that. They relish it. They love it. Okay? Other people, the minute it's quiet and they're still, they feel extremely anxious. that might sound strange because you might think, well, if it's quiet and you're still, the natural thing is to feel relaxed, feel calm, right? But that's not the case for some people. So again, we have to recognize that stillness, silence, quiet, if we're healthy, if we're balanced, this should be something that we can all welcome. All right, if I'm someone who can't be still, I just feel anxious when I'm still, then this, from a yogic perspective, indicates an imbalance. It means that something is not quite energetically or emotionally balanced inside of us. But the same is also true of movement. Okay, if we have an opportunity to move, to exercise, if we're just dreading that, if we can't do it, if we quit, partway through a class, again, it indicates something is off, something is not quite balanced with us. And again, you might know what it is. So you might have had a really tough week at work, might have been very stressed out. If you have children at home, maybe they've been misbehaving, or you're worried about their performance at school, or whatever it might be. And then when someone says, hey, let's go do a strenuous workout, or let's do this hot class or something like that, you might be like, you know what? Right now, I just need the stillness and the quiet. But I'm talking more kind of in general, long term. If you find yourself always avoiding certain things, then very often that's an indicator of an imbalance. And it's within reason, There are certain things that, honestly, we just really don't need to go there. But generally speaking, in yoga, what you're going to find is what's offered is something that can really benefit you. So whether it's like a power flow, like we do on Monday, whether it's a yin yoga like we're doing now, other things like breath work, meditation, concentration techniques, visualization, chanting, all of these things, as we study them, we find that there are benefits to all of them. So again, it's very interesting when I do something that is scientifically shown to benefit me, and yet I have a very adverse reaction to it. Again, that's usually an indication something needs to be looked at. And usually you want to do that with someone who knows what they're doing. Maybe it's a teacher, maybe it's some sort of a counselor or spiritual advisor or a physical therapist, depending on what the issue is. But usually that's something worth investigating, finding out more information. Okay, I want you to take your time. And we'll slowly come out of this one. Just bringing that block out, gradually coming back down, and then let's just rest. So you notice my knees, this is called constructive rest. This is a great position if you feel sensitive in your back after a back bend. So my knees are touching one another, my feet are a little wider than hip distance, so it's like I'm making a little teepee with my legs. And that just creates a little bit of space in your back. It gives your back a moment to relax. What a lot of people do when they feel sensitive in their back is they'll immediately hug their legs in, but that can actually create a muscle spasm, and it can trigger things in your back. So usually the best course of action is, even though you feel really sensitive, just relax. The sensations will dissipate on their own. Most of them will. And then after everything is relaxed, then you can give your legs a squeeze. So again, it's not that giving your legs a squeeze is inherently bad or dangerous. It's just, again, everything, there's a time and a place for everything, right? So it's about learning the right time and place for what it is that you want to do. Okay, we're going to finish with the twisted roots. So the right knee comes over the left. You can lock ankles, but you also don't need to. But generally, you want your knees together. And then we'll drop them over to the left. So as usual, you can play around with head, arm, and leg position to maximize your benefit, whether it's the twist in the spine or the stretch in various parts of the body. All right, let's switch sides.
Okay, let's come back to neutral.